Hi, this is Edward Troxel. Today we're going to look at Premiere and how we can add a form to our script. In this example, we're going to simply create a screen that will load in Premiere, and it will have a button that will let us run the script. This will let us run the script instead of having to use VS Code to do so. So let's take a look at how we can add a form to a script in Premiere. First of all, we need to create the correct folder structure. So far we've been using this Premiere test folder, and then we have used our test.jsx file. So let's create a new folder, and we'll call this Premiere Test with Form. Now that we have this folder created, we need to create the actual structure we're going to be using. First of all, we need a CSXX folder. Next, we need a JSX folder, and then we need an LIB folder, and finally we need a new text file which is going to be called index.html. Yes, I do want to change the file extension. So this will be the file that actually displays the screen, and then all of our other things will go in these other folders. So let's look what goes in each one of these folders. If you go to this website, github/adobe-cep/samples, you will see that there are several samples here. The one we're particularly interested in is this P Pro panel, which is the Premiere Pro panel. And this is a sample code that will actually load into Premiere Pro. To download that, just go to Code and click on Download Zip. The direct link to that zip file is in the description below. Once you have the file downloaded, we can go to our downloads, open up the samples, go into the samples master, go into the P Pro panel, and we can actually load this Pro panel into Premiere and see it work. So let's do that right quick. So let's go here, let's copy the P Pro panel, then we will go into File Explorer. We're going to go to Drive C, Common Files, Adobe, CEP, Extensions, and let's paste that entire folder right here and continue. So now we have the Pro panel listed here. Now let's open Premiere. Let's open our blank project, and we'll go to Window, Extensions, and you will see that the Premiere Pro panel SDK sample panel is now listed here, and we can open that up, and it will actually open up in a window for us to see. And here is the panel that it opened. You can see it actually lists my name, the version of Premiere I'm using. There is no active sequence, so it has gotten this information from Premiere itself. And then it has a bunch of buttons here that has sample code that you can look at. So let's close this out, close Premiere. And before I delete this, there's actually a couple of files that we want to pull out. First of all, let's go into this CSXX folder, and we want this manifest.xml file. So let's copy that file, and then let's come over to our test and go into CSSX, and let's paste that manifest.xml file there. Then under lib, we're going to do the same thing. So let's come back over here and go into the lib folder, and we want this file right here, the csinterface.js. So let's copy that file, and we'll come back over here and paste that into the lib folder here. Those are the minimum files needed. As you can see, the sample has several other files in there as well. We're not going to be using those right now, so I'm not going to copy them at the moment. So let's come back out and delete the Pro panel. And then next time when we open Premiere, that version will not be there. Now that we have most of the base files in place, we need something under JSX as well. Inside JSX, we're going to create another, it's just going to be a text document, and we'll call it ExtendScript.jsx. And this is where all of our code is going to be. Previously we were using test.jsx. Now we're going to use ExtendScript.jsx. Yes, I want to change the file extension. And we will be putting code in there and code in here in order to get everything to work. Let's open Visual Studio. Visual Studio happened to open up our test.jsx that we had from before, and I want to copy all that code anyway. So let's go ahead and select that while I'm here. We'll do Control A and Control C. Then let's close this folder, and now I'm going to open a folder. The folder I want to open is the folder we just created. So test scripts, premier test with form. So that gives me the index.html. Then if we open each one of these, the CS interface is listed there. The ExtendScript is listed here. The CSSX is listed here. And let's go into the ExtendScript, and to begin with, let's just paste my code from the previous test that we ran. So if you remember, these lines right here is the main routine, and then all these others were subroutines. And that's going to change a little bit as we progress here. Now let's create the index file, which will display what we see on the screen. First thing we need to tell it is what type of doc it is, so we'll use this doc type, and it's HTML. Then we will put our HTML flag in there and tell it that the language is English. And you notice it put the closing HTML flag in there, so we'll just scoot down a little bit. Now we need a header section, so let's create head, and it will create the closing head. Inside the head section we will start with a title, and let's just call this test script with interface. Next we are going to have to be accessing that script that we put in the lib folder, so let's access that. So we'll put in script source equals ./lib/cs interface.js, and notice it automatically put the /script there for us. Now let's drop on down to the body section. The body section is what actually displays something, so let's create a body, and we'll put a button there. ID equals quote run button, type equals run, then on click we want it to do a run all, and then the name of our button is going to be insert file on timeline, and that will be the end of our button. When we click this button and we want it to do a run all, now we have to define what the run all is. So let's come back up to this head section, and we're going to create a new script section. So this time we're going to have script type equals text/JavaScript, and this time we're going to put the script actually in the code here. So let's put that there, and we'll have a script down below, and we can put in our actual script. So we're going to have a function, and we're going to call it run all, which is what we called it below, our parentheses, and then put our brackets in, and it's going to do everything inside these brackets. So now we need to have a variable, and we'll call it CS, and it's going to be a new CS interface. Then we're going to use that CS interface to actually call the script in the ExtendScript folder. So here we're going to eval script, and we're going to tell it to do a $.run script.new file, and that will let it call the script over in the ExtendScript. We'll go over to ExtendScript, and we are going to create a new top section here. So we have $.run script equals, put our brackets in, and this is where we are going to define the new file function. And it's going to be called new file. This is a function. Let's just call it get and process file. Get and process file. What do we want this get and process file to do? Well, we want it to do everything that we did before, so we basically need to create a new function surrounding this called function get and process file. And everything down to there, down to the next function, will be what we need to do. Okay, so now we have two files created. We've got the index file, which is going to create a simple button. When you click on that button, it's going to do a run all. When you do a run all, it's going to create the new CS interface, then it's going to call new file. New file is over here in this ExtendScript. We have the new file specified here. It's a function, and it's going to call get and process file, which is a new function we created here called get and process file. Now there's one other change we need to make. So let's go over into this manifest. We could change this to be our panel instead of pro panel. So let's just call this test script. And we'll come down here, test script, and let's change the name of it, and we'll call this Premier Test with Form. Put this down here, test script. Our main path is the index.html. Our script path is going to be /JSX/ExtendScript.jsx, because our script is in the ExtendScript file, which is in the JSX folder, which is right here. And then let's change the menu name for this, and we will call, let's just use the same wording that we used up here. So I can copy that, and then we'll come down here and paste it. This would be the original height and width of the form. And so now let's do a file, save all. That will save all of the different files. Let's come into our Premier Test with Form. Let's copy that entire folder. So let's come back to the extensions folder, which is our program files x86, common files, Adobe, CEP extensions, and let's paste this in here now. So now let's run Adobe Premiere. We'll open our test Untitled project. Let's go ahead and add a new blank sequence. Now we can go to Window, Extensions, Premier Test with Form. So we have our window here. It says Premier Test with Form, and our button that says Insert File on Timeline. So I can move the cursor wherever I want on the timeline, press this button, and you notice this is blinking down here. That means that it's actually behind the screen here, so we'll go over and select that so I can pick the file that I want to add. So if I pick my GIF table, click on OK, it imports the files, creates the test bin, and so now we have the GIF table file on the timeline. I can go somewhere else, click on Insert File again, just pick a file, and now that image has been added to the timeline. I can click on Insert File again, click on Cancel, and it'll pop up and say no file was selected, just like it should. This has just been a short example of showing how a screen can be used to access the script without us having to run it directly from VS Code every time. The screens can be as simple or as complicated as you can make them, depending on how fluent you are with creating web pages. So you need to learn how to create web pages in order to create nicer screens. This was just a simple screen with a single button. Please sign up at www.JETDV.com and subscribe on YouTube to get further notifications on when new videos are presented.